If you search gaming industry on YouTube, you'll probably find tons of video talking about all the negative things. But let's flip the script and talk about the opposite. Why the gaming industry is still looking fine right now? Well, sort of. It's not like I'm going to disagree with what people are saying. Games launch half-baked, $70 price tag everywhere, microtransaction, and the unrealistic push toward live service model are still major problem. But in this video, I just want to highlight the bright side of the industry. Because despite all of that, the industry isn't dying. It's still surprisingly alive. So here are a couple of reasons why the gaming industry is still fine. Let's talk about the AAA games first. Sometimes we tend to only focus on the one that failed. And yeah, there are quite a lot of them. I do have my own opinion about why that happened, but I think I'll save that discussion for the next video. For now, let's take Elden Ring as a proof. Over 30 million copies sold, with its DLC, Shadow of the Earth Tree, pulling in another 10 million. And Night Rain, the recently released standalone co-op survival game set in the Elden Ring universe, adding 5 million more. It showed that From Software is still delivering what people expecting. Then there's Baldur's Gate 3, a CRPG that shocked everyone by becoming Game of the Year. Nobody expecting a D&D inspired turn-based RPG to dominate the mainstream market the way it did. But the reason it succeeded is simple. It respected the players. The game delivered deep storytelling, meaningful choices, and experience feel handcrafted instead of monetized. And of course, we can forget The Legend of Zelda: Tears of Kingdom. Nintendo proved once again that innovation in gameplay design matters just as much as graphic or productive value. Building upon Breath of the Wild, it gives players new mechanics and endless creativity, while still staying true to what made series iconic in the first place. And there are plenty more examples that prove the same point. When AAA studio commit to delivering something truly special, players notice, and they are rewarded. So yes, AAA has fair share of misfire. But when a game is made with a passion and polish, it reminds us why this industry is still exciting. That's why we need to start adjusting our expectation. Because even if a massive IP like Assassin's Creed, for example, crash and burns, there is always another AAA title waiting and surprise everyone by doing even better. But it's not just AAA that's keeping the industry alive. Indie games right now are riding higher than ever. The indie games market was valued at 4.8 billion in 2025 and is still expected to nearly double to 9.5 billion by 2030, growing at a 14.5% annual rate. By 2025, indie titles have been started falling, or in some cases, surpassing AA and AAA games in terms of revenue on Steam thanks to their affordability, creativity, and accessible distribution platform. And when you look at the specific titles, the success becomes crystal clear. Games like Balatro, a poker-inspired roguelike, explode in popularity. It's really amazing to see indie titles can compete with a big title to challenge Game of the Year. Or think back to Hades, Hollow Knight, or Stardew Valley. Indie games that build massive communities and prove you don't need a bloated budget to make something people love. So yes, indie devs are proving that creativity and passion can absolutely outshine money-driven projects. And honestly, the rise of indie games right now might just be the healthiest thing happening in the gaming industry right now. Well, as I said in the previous video, what separates gaming from film or music is the community. Unlike movie or song, games don't just end when they release. They evolve, shaped directly by the players. Look at Minecraft. More than a decade after its release, it's still dominating charts. Not because it's the newest or the most high-tech game, but because the community keep it alive with mods, servers, and endless creativity. And there is Helldivers 2, the game that went viral back then, not through ads or corporate PR, but through memes, funny clips, and shared stories among players. The culture around the game pushed it into the spotlight, far beyond what marketing budgets could achieve. But what about the community right now? Well, Despite all the negativity surrounding overpriced games and broken launch, the gaming community itself is still stronger than ever. Platforms like Discord, Twitch, and YouTube make it easier than ever for players to connect, build fanbase, and keep games alive long after publishers move on. Communities even rally to fix games through mods, fan patches, or pressure campaigns, sometimes doing what developers failed to deliver. That's the beauty of gaming. When the industry fails, the community step in. In fact, sometimes the players themselves are the best marketing and the best support system the game could ever have. Another great example of how strong the gaming community right now is the Stop Killing Games movement. In case you didn't know, this campaign started because players are tired of seeing publishers shut down online games, even ones people are already paid for, just because they're no longer profitable. We've seen it happen too often. Ubisoft shut down The Crew earlier this year, making the game completely unplayable. EA has done the same thing with all their Battlefield titles. And other publishers are guilty too. When this happens, it doesn't just waste money, it erases culture, history, and the time players invested. The movement is pushing for legal protections to make sure that when publishers stop supporting a game, players still have a way to keep playing, whether through offline modes, community server, or preservation right. This campaign was popularized by Roscott, the content creator of the YouTube channel Accused Farm. He began raising awareness about the issue in his video, which eventually get reacted by a certain streamer. And his reaction started a whole drama about this campaign. But because of that, the movement quickly blew up and managed to gather the required number of signatures for its petition. Now to be clear, this movement is still ongoing. There is no law or official regulation yet. But the good news is, it's gaining traction. Governments, especially in Europe, are starting to pay attention, and even some developers are beginning to acknowledge the issue. So, while nothing concrete has been passed yet, the direction is positive, and this shows again how the community, when united, can fight for a healthier future for gaming. Not just for today, but for the next generation of players. Here's another reason why the gaming industry is still fine. China is starting to seriously approaching the single-player market. Some people argue this shift could have both positive and negatives, but for now, I think the outlook is very positive. For the longest time, China has been known mostly for MMOs, mobile gacha, and free-to-play live service titles. But lately, you've seen a big shift. Black Myth Wukong, a game by Game Science, took everyone by storm with how good it was. And because of that, more and more Chinese developers are stepping into the single-player space. This means we're going to see fresh IPs, new perspective, and even stronger competition for established AAA studio. Chinese lore itself has so much potential to be added into the story-driven games. And honestly, just by looking at the trailers from some of the games that will come out, things are looking really promising. Sure, there are still challenges, and I think I'm going to make a full video about pros and cons of this whole Chinese movement towards single player, because there's a lot to talk about. So, is the gaming industry in trouble? Yeah, but is it completely doomed? Not at all. Sure, we're dealing with overpriced release, broken launches, and microtransaction, but here's the good news. As long as gamers keep demanding better, and some developers still have the passion to create games for players instead of just profit, this industry isn't going anywhere. So yes, the gaming industry is still fine. Sort of. And honestly, that's more than enough reason to stay and hopeful for what's coming next. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And let me know in the comments, what do you think about the current state of gaming? This is Lepion, sign out.